Hey everybody, it's Libby with WootRecruit again, and we're going to continue on the Profit Flywheel for recruiting. And we've already covered so many prior to this one. And today we're going to cover the accept rate. Are we giving out offers, but people are not accepting them? And so we've covered previously already impressions, clicks, apply starts, actual applies, your apply passes, scheduled interviews, showed interviews, your offer, and now the accept. And what do we consider accept? So as I get prepared, share my screen. Chris, do your intro and we'll jump right in.
Sure. I'm Chris. I'm the CTO of WootRecruit. I am the Chief Technical Officer, everything to do with systems and having that engine running smoothly.
Awesome. So what is accept? So the way we're going to really measure accept is the number of candidates who accept the job offer and show up to orientation. Mm-hmm. That's how we're going to consider accept. If they showed up to orientation, they have accepted our job. We're not going to really care about the email communication, if they said yes or no through text. It's did they show up to that first day of work, whether it's your orientation, first day in the field. Everybody does it a little different. But that's what we're considering the accept rate. And why is this important? Well, we need them to show up. It's critical to growing and scaling our company and reaching our end of year revenue goals. If we know the percentage of people who accept our offer, and there will be a percentage, it won't be 100%. And I'm going to jump in, share my screen with you guys so that we can look at what is a good rate of accept. And so this is where WootRecruit stats, we kind of start to fall off a little bit from that WootRecruit platform. Mm-hmm. We measure offers, right? This person offered 14. And then from there, how many people actually showed up to orientation is important to measure because there's going to be a percentage. And the reason for that is, or the percentage is, if I need to hire 4 people, but I know that only half of my offers accept the job and the position and show up to orientation, that means if I need to hire 4, I need to give 8 offers.
Yes.
Right. Or I'm always going to be behind the ball. I'm always going to be wondering or understaffed or wondering like, what the heck is going on?
Yep.
So what are some key insights, Chris, that we can share with our listeners or watchers on what are the factors that influence the accept rate?
Yeah. So the very first thing would be the actual experience that the candidates have. Now, to take a look at this, let's go ahead and take a step back to the previous step, which was the offer. Mm-hmm. Now, this is after the interview. You go ahead and make that exchange. You then ideally making a very fast offer, but you make an offer nonetheless. So the way that you kind of left it and approached it in terms of culture, branding, is this the right fit? Did you sell the job at that point? Is really going to determine how they feel about responding to or deciding to move forward.
So what Chris is talking about, he didn't say this at the beginning, is the interview, right? The candidate experience during the interview and the offer. Mm-hmm. Right? You got into details, but you didn't say interview and offer.
Yes.
His brain moves a little faster than most of ours. So it's the candidate's experience from the whole process, actually, of your recruiting, but it's really important for that interview experience. And then how fast or slow did we give them that offer and what that offer looked like? Mm-hmm. How did that offer feel? So that's super important to give a positive experience to increase the likelihood of people to accept that offer. The next one is, timeliness of the offer. We talked about in the offer video, the prior video. But if you drug your feet to give that offer, if you waited 3 or 4 days to give them that offer, and this could decrease your chances of them accepting it because they've maybe already got a different offer.
Yeah.
The more days that kind of the bigger the gap, the more days in between, the higher the likelihood is they're not going to accept it because either doubt started to set in, mm-hmm. Or questioning things, or life changed, it evolved. They got a different offer, maybe something else came up.
And even if they had a great experience coming in and through that interview process, again, just as with everybody, time will make things fade. Mm-hmm. So that rush of adrenaline or emotion that they had, that excitement, is going to fade over time. And then once they go to the offer, they might not be as motivated just because time has passed.
Yep. And it's just like purchase. We have that little hit of a dopamine when we buy something. And from purchase to activation, the more days in between, the more doubt. And the more doubt that starts to set in. Same thing. It could have been a great interview, a great experience. But if we're slow on the offer, then, we're going to lose those great candidates. So we want to give them a great experience. And then the next one is perceived company's organization. I love this one. I think this is highly, highly important. And this one hits like personal because we do organizing and cleaning in our cleaning company. The name of our cleaning company is called Organize It. One of the biggest reasons, like when we're interviewing, a lot of people say, why'd you leave your last company? Why do you want to leave? And it's mismanagement, disorganization, and, like disrespect. But this comes down to the level of organization and professionalism that your company is showing during that interview process, that your company is showing during the recruiting process. How organized are you? What does your interview look like? Are you prepared? Is the office tidy? Are you ready on Zoom? And candidates can sense and smell that from a mile away. And I did a video the other day on the culture of Spirit, and Spirit is just a messy company, canceling flights and rescheduling. And that attracts those employees to that chaos. They like it.
Yeah.
It fits them well. And there's nothing wrong with that. But are people not taking your offer because, the level of professionalism or organization was not there? Or are they taking it because they like it if it's messy?
Right. Or they're used to it.
So, a well-organized process builds confidence and trust in the company, right? Instability breeds doubt. So the other side is that an organized process builds trust and confidence in you, the person doing the interview and making the decision, and also in the applicant who's being interviewed. So I could go on forever on this topic. Just how do you prepare the office? How do you prepare yourself? Use a hiring booklet. We make those and organize it. And we share it with, our WootRecruit customers, but get yourself uber organized, prepared, and streamlined. Yeah.
So I would just sum it up with that organization is, from that applicant's lens, I would ask myself, does this feel like a safe space for me to come into?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, employees love stability. And do you have that stability sense? Or is your phone ringing, or are you complaining, or customer calling, and you just seem frazzled during that interview process? It's going to come off to the applicant and could affect the way that could affect if they offer, or if they accept your offer, or if they don't.
Yeah.
So our next one is what could influence this is the value fit, right? So value fit with companies is huge. You need to drill deep into the company's values and whether they align with that candidate or not. And this is something that we cannot tell you exactly what to do because everyone's company values are different. But you need to write your questions and your sub questions to fit your values, not like what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. Like anyone can answer that question well. But how do you draw out the values and characteristics of a good fit? How do you draw out those values to see if they're a good fit for the company? And sometimes we can't. And that's what interviewing is. It's like dating. You're taking a chance, and if it doesn't work out, then you break up fast. Yeah. And so, you have to also, before you can see if they're a value fit, though, you have to establish your values, your real values, not something that we took from somewhere else. Or like when I first started, I went online and just found a whole bunch of cool ones. What are the values of your company? Do a deep dive on that and really own them. And because you don't know what you're looking for until you've established those values. So it's going to be hard to see a value fit.
Yeah. And just like we talked about before with the value fit, you may have put it in place early on in that flywheel, in that cycle of, in the job ad, in just everywhere that you could. But did it match what you said to what was actually true? Or was there some kind of catfishing that went on? And did it just kind of leave them with kind of less than what they expected.
Yeah, and for people that don't know what catfishing are, it's like, I put a picture on Facebook and I use a filter, and that it makes me look like I'm 20 years old again. And when you meet me in person, oh, I don't look like that. Oh boy, I don't look like that. And so that's what we mean by, like, are you putting a filter on, one of those fancy Instagram filters on your recruiting process? Is it true? Does it, when they meet you in person, does it resemble what they saw online and through the job application and the experience?
Yeah. And I always say, especially to my kids, is, whatever they're doing, leave it better than the way it was before. So making sure that, at least in terms of core values and that culture aspect, make sure to leave their experience better than the way that they came in expecting that culture.
And then the last one is for them to accept that offer. How can we help influence this? Is really to explain the process, right? Explain it. What are the steps? What can they expect? If I give you an offer, when can you expect it? And after I give you an offer, then what happens next? Almost like an applicant journey of what happens after they accept that offer. What's the day, like we do and organize it, what's the day of a life in the cleaner? So they have an expectation of, I know what to expect. There's not this fear and this doubt that they have just growing in their mind of what to expect. Arm them with the steps so they know what's required to accept the job and to start it.
But I'm sorry that if you are, let's just give, for example, you decided to give an offer, but in that offer letter, let's say through email, you give them a 6-page document to review.
Yeah. And
then they choose to accept. You're really going to scare them into shock. And we've seen this and experienced this before with other companies. And it's really, you haven't passed that threshold. You haven't passed that gate yet to, let's say, close a sale. So putting things like too aggressively, too in front.
Yeah. If it's just too daunting, too heavy, right? That process is just a big ask of them. So smaller pieces, bite size, more of the TikTokification of, what you're requiring of that. Because, none of us want to sit down and read a 6-page document. Either they accept the job or they don't. And if you're asking them to do things to prepare for it, lay it out. But here's the other thing. Don't just offer them the job through email and then they don't show up to orientation and you wonder why. Most candidates don't really communicate through email. If you really want them to accept that offer and to start in explaining the process and what that looks like and what they can expect, draw out, hey, if, we'll give you a call, we'll text you, we'll email you. It's like a sell. If I want to close a deal, I'm not going to just email the lead. I'm going to email them, I'm going to text them, and I'm going to call them.
And it takes 7 touches.
So we need to make sure we're hitting all those if you truly want them to show up, accept the offer, and have a pleasant onboarding experience. Because at the end of the day, most people, except for business owners, don't live in their inbox. We do, and that's the way we operate, but that's not how the general population operates. So explain the process to them, what they can expect. The day in the life of a cleaner is great. It's a paragraph long. You all know what it is. Everyone's is a little different. Highly recommend it. But that way they know, and they have a simple and clear, really process in mind that increases the likelihood that they're going to show up and accept that position.
Yeah.
And so some key takeaways of this topic is really, the importance of a positive experience and a quick offer. Now, don't rush to the offer. Have a process to your offer. Is important to remember. A positive experience. We want to make sure that we get those people accepting those offers and showing up. Mm-hmm. Because if not, you're going to burn out your cleaners. You're going to burn out your you're going to burn out your trainers. You're going to burn out your office. Also, and then people are going to start to question, why does no one accept this job? Why are they not showing up? Mm-hmm. Then they start to question the job themselves, your current employees.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure that you have a good percentage of accept. I think in Organize It, we have about a 70% accept rate. We used to have a 50%, and we've worked really hard to increase that. Lisa, who runs the Organize It office, will call and email and text and send them all kinds of stuff. And here's a link. And to really engage with that applicant to get them to accept it.
And so what we've seen on average is about 50% is about the norm for that accept rate without putting any extra effort into improving it.
Yes. So just know what it is, know your stats. Again, the hiring goal calculator will tell you down to how many offers you need to give so that you can hire an X amount of technicians so that you can meet your year-end revenue goal. It's an amazing tool. We'll make sure we drop it in the comments or in the notes so that you can take advantage of that. And so let's wrap this up. We just covered accept. And prior to that, it was the offer, right? How fast, how slow. And so from accept, we're going to go to commit. And we're going to hit that commit. What does commit mean? And how can I get more people to make it through the commitment phase when it comes to training and onboarding? Again, this is Libby with WootRecruit. Stay tuned. We have a huge series coming up. If you've missed them prior, go back and take a look and stay tuned for the next video.